Welcome into this Thursday morning edition of Blue Sky Live here with you today. Chase Parham and Neal McCready. Neil is in the Clark Ford studio going remote this morning. I've got another thing at 10, so because of the time limit and with the way we flipped Jeffrey, just having to be in different places, but it's all good. Podcast here today. Ole Miss picks up a 73-66 win over the Arkansas Razorbacks in Fayetteville on Wednesday evening. We'll discuss that, what's next for the Rebels, and whether weather is going to impact it. Yeah, I'm sure the bread and milk sandwiches are completely gone out of the Kroger and the Walmart and the whole place as of today. Is you may get a lot, you may get no winter weather here over the course of the next 48 hours or so. So we'll hit all that and plenty more. We got an NCAA playoff game tonight. Notre Dame and Penn State coming to you in that one. So all that on tap on Blue Sky Live. Blue Sky locations all over the state of Mississippi, up and down I-55 throughout North Mississippi as well. Lunch specials, $5.69, couple sides, bread, any size, fountain drink, clean convenience stores. A lot of selection. Head on in when you're coming into town, out of town, or all over the state of Mississippi, including their Sweet Daddy's locations. Again, Mr. McCready is in the Clark Ford studio.
I am. Clark Ford is in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours, right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote, and the rest is up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. 662-257-1900. Guest join on the Campbell Clinic hotline. From fractures and sports injuries to complex spine and limb conditions, the pediatric orthopedic team at Campbell Clinic in Oxford is the only specialized pediatric orthopedic team in North Mississippi providing expert care for growing bodies. Visit campbellclinicoxford.com to schedule an appointment or call 901-759-3111.
Do you have enough bread and milk, canned supplies, Neil? Or are you going to be able to make it for 36 hours if we have to get through that period of time? Where are we standing on the rations inside the household?
I need to go buy some beer.
Okay.
That's not much. I'll get maybe a 6-pack of beer just to make sure we have enough. I think we'll be good.
It's more peace of mind and mental than anything else.
Yeah. I mean, I'm having a hard time taking it particularly seriously because every time I look at the forecast, they say the high for Friday is 35 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I mean, maybe this is the ULM education in me coming out, but that's above freezing.
32 is freezing last time I checked.
So if it's 35, 36, yeah, it might get a little icy and slippery. But then on Saturday, the high is like 40, and the high on Sunday is in the 40s. And I've just lived in the South long enough to know if that's the case, we're going to be all right. I mean, when it gets bad in places like this where you get shut down for a week, it's because the roads get icy and the temperatures stay under 32. And there's nothing really that the cities, the towns, the ordinances can really do about it. Yeah, you can go salt the roads and stuff, but the back roads, the buses and stuff, they can't get into these shaded areas and the temperatures are not warm enough for the stuff to melt. If it's in the 40s, it's going to melt. So I'm having a hard time. Maybe these will be famous last words. I'm having a hard time taking this particularly seriously.
So it's a really small band per the Weather Channel this morning. I had a buddy say, I asked, like, hey, is there a possibility of 8, 10, 12 inches? And I was like, I have no idea. Let me head on over. And you get different answers too, like local weather versus National Weather Service versus whatever. They're not anywhere near all on the same page. But the Weather Channel map this morning was showing a very thin band, meaning even if all their projections are correct, the difference in 2 inches, 0 inches, and 10 inches was 100 miles. I mean, like hardly any movement at all as far as some big area that was being covered. So, I mean, there's possibility too that this is like, I mean, even you and I can end up with different amounts if it came through in different ways, the way that band was showing here this morning. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't mind being shut in for 36, 48 hours. I'll be honest. I kind of enjoy it in a way. Like that's an amount of time where it's almost kind of nice. I think you're like that too.
I don't mind being shut in for 36, 48 days. Yeah, I would personally be fine. Hell, I might enjoy that. But no,
You're just gonna have to go into 4-wheel drive to make sure you get to the game Saturday night at 5. But otherwise, you're good.
So see, Saturday, 5 o'clock Saturday. That's where if it's a little treacherous, that's what you worry about. Is that the roads at 4 o'clock on Saturday would be different than the roads at like 8 o'clock on Saturday because of the, so. But
it's gradual. Everything doesn't just disappear immediately whenever.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any chance of the game getting moved? Because LSU theoretically would come in tomorrow afternoon if there was no weather.
Yeah, I think the only way the weather would impact it is if LSU couldn't get here.
Mm-hmm.
If they can get here, they'll play. If it's not safe for them to travel, they shouldn't. And I guess they could move the game back a day or reschedule for down the road. I mean, there are some. But no, I've not heard anybody say that. I'm sure.
I'm just talking as of.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody's watching the weather all over the Southeast for the teams that have to travel. You don't want to endanger lives trying to get to a basketball game. But I would think if LSU can get here safely, no matter what the weather is here, I think they'll obviously play the game.
The last time that Oxford that I can recall got a ton of snow, not like the ice last year or the ice in 2020, but legitimate snow, was probably 2010-ish, something like that. And Ole Miss actually played LSU at home during that, and I remember going to that game and there was no one there. And that was 15, 16 years ago.
I remember determining that I couldn't get there. I actually thought about like even doing the walk there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, God, that would suck if you walked there, covered a game, and then trying to get back at night, you didn't sleep, you didn't see ice and you fell and got hurt or something. And I was like, I'll just watch it on television. And yeah, there was nobody at that game.
It was at Tad Smith. I'm almost positive they did play it though, and I think I went if I remember that correctly.
They definitely played it because there was definitely conversation based on what I can recall with talking to Andy. There was definitely conversation about whether it was smart to play it.
Yeah. The one thing I've got to make sure I do get today, and I get it's only 36 hours, you can make fun or whatever it ends up being, is I think I'm really low on propane for the Blackstone. So I do think I need to go get some propane today.
Yeah, you probably should.
That's my one. I'm kind of an idiot. I don't keep 2 jugs. I just run out sometimes, and I'm mad at myself. Like that's what I do. I screw up.
I have 2, and once one goes out, I always go refill it. Always.
That's the way to go. Yeah, that's the move. So.
And I always keep a full. I keep a full bag of the charcoal for the big green egg.
Yeah, sure.
So we're good. I mean, like a day and a half. Yeah, no problem. I mean, actually,
that's where we deserve to all be made fun of. Is that worst case scenario here is like 3 days. Worst case.
Yeah, worst case you can't get out until sometime Sunday afternoon.
So you don't need 9 loaves of bread. Like it's 3 days. Like I seriously last night went, okay, what's in the deep freeze? There's just anything that's going to kind of piss me off that I don't have. And the answer is no. It's like, okay, just move on. It's fine. It's all good.
Yeah. So. I mean, if you can't handle a day and a half of being shut in, you're way more you're more social than I ever even desire to even think about being. And I'll acknowledge that I probably need to try to become more social, but I don't want to be that social.
It's mental too. It's when people know they can't go somewhere, they want to go somewhere more.
Maybe so.
It is. It's mentally. When you're told you can't do something, you have more desire to do that thing.
I mean, I spent basically 4 days in Jacksonville alone, and I was fine. I was perfectly fine. More fine probably than is healthy.
New Year's Eve, you got you a sixer and whatever, and hey,
I did.
good.
I hung out New Year's Eve. I hung out in my room and I turned on. I had the football game on the TV and I had the Thunder and Timberwolves, I think, on my computer. Had a couple of beers. Life was good. I was fine. I mean, I was fine. Just that's sad and pathetic, probably. But on the other hand, I never really have to worry about getting lonely. I'm okay.
Neil and I did a little bit of a experiment right before we started the show. A little bit of baseball news. Gray Kessinger traded from the Astros to the Diamondbacks yesterday. He is listed as the number 2 infielder at all positions. So he is listed at second base, shortstop, and third base behind the starters there that they've either traded for or have coming back from last season. And Neil and I could name 1.5 Diamondbacks, so we will admit that out loud to you guys that is where our NL West baseball knowledge stopped, was 1.5 Diamondbacks. It's ridiculous. It's terrible. It's embarrassing. I hate myself right now.
I just think that's where sports has become. You and I talked about this.
I can name more Duke Blue Devils in baseball than I can Arizona Diamondbacks. I probably have a disease.
Well, that is scary. I could not name a Duke baseball player. If you put a gun to my head and gave me 3 days, unless somebody's name like John Smith or something, I'd be in deep.
And you just happen to get that one right, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, great, yeah. Awesome.
Be like Chris Smith, John Smith, Bill Smith, William Smith. Yeah, I'd be in trouble. Right. I just think sports viewing has, despite the fact that there's more at your fingertips than ever before, I think sports viewing has gotten more provincial than ever before. I think most people have their team and they watch their team. That's it. I don't think they watch other teams. I don't even think they watch the other teams in their league. I think they mostly just watch their team. And so if you're a Braves fan, you just watch the Braves. And so you know the Braves pretty intimately in terms of like someone talk about their roster, you could talk about it. But if you said, okay, well, what about, and if you're a Braves fan, you probably could talk about the Mets, the Phillies, the teams that, you know, that are your rivals that you have to beat to get to the playoffs or whatnot. But you don't really, you wouldn't be able to really talk about like the Mariners, for example. The Braves play them, 3 games a year, and those are the only 3 times that you see the Mariners.
Also worth noting that baseball, despite being regional as all hell, they are thriving financially.
Yes.
It works.
It's absolutely. Like one of the Diamondbacks that we were able to name just signed with them. He hasn't pitched for the Diamondbacks yet, but Corbin Burns got a huge contract.
Mm-hmm. So, anyway, gray-headed Diamondbacks, he got DFA'd by the Astros, I guess about a week ago, 5 days ago, something like that. And now they're in Arizona. Obviously, the key Ole Miss news from last night, Rebels 73, Razorbacks 66 in Fayetteville. Arkansas was out to a 9-1 lead early. Ole Miss kind of clawed back, tied it at 33 at the break, and then sort of controlled the entire second half from a game standpoint. I think the largest lead maybe was up around 11, 12, something like that. 11 is what the stat broadcast says. They led 67-56 prior to going ahead and winning 73-66. That moves them to 2-0 inside the SEC after the home win over Georgia and then the road win at Arkansas. Ole Miss shoots 46% from the field, Arkansas 37, the second game in a row that an SEC opponent has shot horribly from 3 against the Rebels. I think Georgia was 2 for 16 or 2 for 18, and now Arkansas last night went 5 of 23 for 22%. In that one, Malik Dia goes for 21-8 for the Rebels to lead them. Sean Padula 16, and then Davis gives them 7 boards. Brakefield 6 boards. Davis added 10 points to go with that. Morrell 9, including a couple early baskets in the second half, right off the top, that were critical for Ole Miss, sort of out of intermission right there. But you know, look, It was a huge win for Ole Miss. You're counting to 8, and then if you get to 8, you start counting from there. 2-0, they come back home to play LSU on Saturday, a game they will absolutely be favored in by probably a pretty good bit. LSU 0-2 in the league. We'll look around the league a little bit. But getting one on the road, getting that one in a game where you were a 3.5-point underdog, I was not very impressed with Arkansas. I think they're in trouble right here when you look ahead to their schedule and what they have done to this point. They are now 0-2 in the SEC, and they host Florida on Saturday, so no gimme there with the Gators coming to town and
No.
in Fayetteville. But in hindsight, and as it was playing out, Ole Miss needed to get that one. They had an opportunity, and they made it work. So if you're the Rebels, you get back on the plane, and you need at least 6 more now out of the next 16.
Yeah, I'll full disclosure. I had the game on. I didn't have any volume on it. I wasn't locked into it. I was pretty locked into another game that was being played at the same time. I thought Ole Miss did what Ole Miss is going to have to do to win games, and that's they protected the basketball. Ole Miss had 4 or 5 turnovers, one or the other. I can't remember which. 5 turnovers. You're gonna stay in games if you only turn it over 5 times. I thought early. It was super early, but I think it was 10-1, and Arkansas had a possession where it seems like I remember they missed a dunk or they had something happen close at the basket, and then Ole Miss got a couple of quick buckets, and that felt important at the time, and I think probably it was to kind of withstand that early rally. Don't fall down 15, 16, 17 points where suddenly you're trying to dig out of a hole. And then just kind of the parts that I watched that I remember I took some notes as it was going on. Ole Miss kind of took away the middle of the floor from Arkansas. Arkansas was doing a lot of 5-out, best I could tell. Their offense didn't have much flow at all. It looked disjointed. Some of that, obviously a lot of that probably is due to Ole Miss, especially in the second half, really turned up the intensity on defense. They didn't shoot it well. They got some looks and just missed, kind of like Georgia. And some of that, I think, is people look at that and go, well, that's luck. Some of it's luck, and some of it is skill. Some of it is coaching. I thought Beard and his staff outcoached Calipari and his staff pretty dramatically last night. You have to decide, and I think Chris used these words. You have to sort of pick your poison a little bit in basketball. That's part of the deal. And I think Ole Miss decided there were a couple of guys on that team, on the Arkansas team, they were not going to let those guys get hot and go off. They were going to, knowing that would mean that some other guys would get open looks. And you're gambling that they just won't shoot it all that well. And it was a good gamble. I thought it paid off. And, Ole Miss offensively is kind of limited. I don't think that's a criticism. They don't have Batman out there that can go get you 35 on a given night. They have to kind of do it different ways, but they did it. And they got in some early foul trouble with Morrell and I think Dre Davis. And they sort of withstood it, did some rotation things to just kind of push the game along. And I think they tied the game at the half. And then after that, they kind of dominated it. And it was a really good performance on their part. I think they've played a couple of teams now, Georgia and Arkansas, that I think at the end of the season we'll look back and go, those are average to slightly below average teams in the league. But that's not a knock on Ole Miss. You've got to win those games when you know that you're going to have Alabama and Auburn and Tennessee and not Kentucky, Florida, Texas A&M. Those kinds of teams are on your schedule, and those are going to be games that even when you play really well, it's going to be hard to win. These are the games that when you have opportunities to win, you've got to win them, and so far Ole Miss has. And Saturday's an important game because it's a game that it's at home, and B, it's against an inferior opponent. So you got to make sure you win those games, get to 3, and you build yourself some margin for error. But I think that's what happened. The other thing that I noticed, I know we'll talk about this in a minute, it's one of the reasons that I'm glad we didn't overreact to Saturday when all the home teams basically won. Because last night the road teams won. That was way too small of a sample for people to do this. Oh my God, no one's ever going to win a road game. Just the sample size was too small, and sure enough, last night you saw that. Where I think there were 3 games in the league, and all 3 road teams won.
In the midweek, combining Tuesday and Wednesday, road teams went 5-3.
Yeah,
That's what happened.
there
So
was.
yeah. I want to look at that in a minute because that is I do think we definitely could have easily overreacted there. And then the last thing here on the break, and we'll come back and talk more basketball after the break, is you mentioned it. Ole Miss sort of control tempo that final 10 minutes. Only 5 turnovers when the last 7 minutes of the game you're running clock and you're trying to lengthen possessions. I thought that was pretty critical. Their ball handling and their protection was really good in the last 6-7 minutes. I mean, I think the announcers, and I typically don't listen with sound, but the announcers were talking about it was the equivalent of trying to run the clock out in football and you're just running it up the middle every play. And it's kind of what Ole Miss did those last 7 minutes. They missed 10 free throws. That's bad. But as
Yeah.
far as actual in possession and half court offense, they were able to dictate tempo and not turn it over, not do a bunch of stupid stuff. They really executed that final 5, 6, 7 minute game plan pretty efficiently. So
Yeah, what it does is it stopped Arkansas from, because there were a couple of times, and again, I know this isn't great pod. There were a couple of times it felt like Arkansas closed it to 6, 7 points, and where if you can get an easy turnover and an easy bucket, you ratchet the pressure up, you get the crowd into it a little bit, you get Ole Miss thinking about it, and Ole Miss didn't fall into that trap. They didn't have catastrophic possessions. They had empty possessions, but look, it's college basketball. Empty possessions are part of the deal. They had empty possessions, but they ate some clock in those possessions. Ole Miss through 2 SEC games has proven to be pretty good in transition defense too. They get back, and they're forcing teams to run offense to beat them in the half court. And yeah, I mean, I just thought, and again, I wasn't locked into it. But what I saw, they had a path to go win the game, and they took it. And I thought played fairly well considering. I mean, they got a big performance out of Dia. Arkansas sagged off of him early and left him some open threes. He took them and made them. And that's big for Ole Miss moving forward from a scouting standpoint because it might clear up some driving lanes for, Padula and Davis. I thought, even though it didn't really show up in the box score, I thought the early part, you mentioned it, the early part of the second half when Morrell came back and stabilized things. That was 2 games in a row where Matt Morrell and Jamin Brakefield, guys that have been in that program for a while, guys that have to play well for Ole Miss to get where Ole Miss wants to get. Chris has said that. I'll say that. Other people have said that. I thought they did. I thought when it really mattered last night, both of those guys played well and stabilized things. And they did that last night without Mikhail Brown-Jones, who was out with what they called an illness. I don't know whether there's some speculation that it's concussion. I have no idea. But he didn't play last night, and he's one of their kind of, physical glue guys. And sometimes when you lose those kind of guys, it really shows against a big team. And Arkansas is a pretty big team. They were able to overcome that last night, which is probably another really good sign because you're not going to be 100% healthy the whole season. You're going to have to get through some injuries or some stuff where guys aren't 100%. And Ole Miss did that last night on the road, and that was I don't want to overstate it because watching Arkansas last night for the first time, really, I don't think that's a tournament team. I know what the rankings say and stuff like that, but I don't see it. I don't see how that team's going to win 8 SEC games. I really don't. But to go get that win on the road, that's big for them because it's if you can get like what are they 9 each way. I mean, if you can go 6-3, 7-2 at home, do the math. It's pretty easy to get there after that. And so that was a big one for them, and they got it.
A little more basketball in a second. First, this podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. Every January brings you 365 blank pages waiting to be filled. In 2025, maybe you're ready for a plot twist or a part of your story that's wanting to revise. Life is about resolutions that fade by February. Pick up the pen, become the author of your own life. Thinking Therapy is your editorial partner, helping you write new chapters and create the meaningful story you deserve to live. If you haven't given therapy a try, it's a great way to talk to somebody without preconceived notions. Family, friends, they have their own opinions. They tell you things they're thinking instead of just worrying about what's in your mind and how to turn that into progress. So if you want to give therapy a chance, BetterHelp. It's a fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. Access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. Easily switch therapists anytime, no cost, video on or off, whatever you need. Write your own story with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/MPW today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/MPW.
You've had Wendy's nugs dipped in sauce. Have you had them covered in sauce? Wendy's new saucy nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs that you already love and turn them up to 11. Choose between flavors like buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, or if you're a real heat seeker, try spicy ghost pepper only on Wendy's signature spicy nugs. I dare you. That's 7 delicious ways to try the nugs you already love. Pick a flavor, grab some extra napkins, and prepare to nug like you've never nugged before. For a whole new way to nug, it's got to be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's. We're brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. I'll have a hand raised, guys. I will have it at some point this weekend. It probably won't be tonight, but we'll have it to you at some point this weekend. Different names, same great products and services. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, South Haven, Memphis, that area, call Southern 662-429-4429. We're brought to you by Window Hero. From window cleaning to pressure washing, gutter cleaning, gutter guards, and everything in between, Window Hero has the experience, equipment, and expertise to make your property look and feel brand new. Let Window Hero make your home or business's exterior look amazing. They have the equipment and the supplies and the expertise that can make your property look and feel brand new. Give them a call at 662-510-7077 or reach out to them online at windowhero.com. We're also brought to you by we're brought to Andrew Seago Wealth Management. Are you already retired? Are you retiring soon? How long should you wait to take Social Security? What accounts should you pull from first? These are just some of the questions that can only be answered with the personalized retirement income plan. Andrew Seago Wealth Management specializes in helping folks just like you come up with their retirement game plan. Whether you meet at his office in Collierville or prefer Zoom from anywhere, schedule a free discovery meeting and see what they can do for you. It's rebelsretire.com. We're also brought to you by Arnett's Fine Jewelry. It's a 4th-generation jeweler. It's about to be Valentine's Day season. If you are thinking about jewelry for your Valentine, you need to get in touch with Arnett's. It's right there on North Lamar Avenue in Oxford. They offer expert jewelry repair, diamond engagement rings, wedding bands, stackable diamonds, genuine stone bands, and much, much more. Flexible bangles, diamond pendants, earrings. It's the perfect place for birthday gifts, Valentine's Day gifts, and more. At Arnett's, they want to be your jeweler.
I guess that's brought to you by G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area and offer MedSync. Free prescriptions the same day each month. Take care of you. Also, they can transfer your medications. One phone call, they take care of the rest. That's G&M in Oxford or Tyson Drugs in Holly Springs, 662-236-2222. You mentioned that Arkansas was going 5 outs last night. For the basketball stupid, what does that mean?
Means everybody's on the perimeter. Everybody's facing the basket. You don't have anybody posted up. You're not running offense through the paint. Everything's out. The goal in that is to space out the defense. You create mismatches and then you drive. Ole Miss was taking away the middle of the court, which is what Chris Beard is known for. His defenses are known for kind of a no middle defense. They don't let you take that. You'll give up shots on the perimeter. So if a team has a myriad of shooters, it doesn't work as well. But if you can pick your poison and decide these are the guys that we're going to let shoot, and these are the guys that we're not. And that's kind of what they did. if you watch much NBA, at the risk of upsetting a handful of people, if you watch much of it, you'll see more and more what the NBA is going to, and the reason that it's so hard to play defense in that league is that there's more and more teams that have talented bigs who can shoot the three ball, and so they can play five out quite often, and that brings it forces other teams that have like traditional bigs. It gets those traditional bigs out on the perimeter where they're not quick enough and they get exposed, and so you can force another team to get away from the personnel that they want to play. You make it a stylistic, you make it a chess match. But if you don't
I think
have
Ole Miss. Go ahead.
if you don't have bigs that can make perimeter shots, and all they can do is like you could run offense through them on the blocks, you have to win more conventionally.
And Ole Miss did a really good job last night of dictating tempo, creating the game they wanted to play for the vast majority of it. I mean, as you said, Cal looked out coached. He looked old, frankly. If you kind of noticed him last night, just the way he was sort of treating himself on the court. It was not a raucous environment, and Bud Walton can be a very difficult place to play. And it was damn near scrimmage level quiet last night at times. I mean, the announcers were commenting on it. Like at times, I thought the play-by-play guy was almost energized, like every time a bucket was hit. But I think it was because the damn arena was so much. He was just trying to create anything because it seriously, it felt like a practice around him from what you were hearing as far as B-roll and ambient noise and things. It just wasn't even there.
Yeah, well, the students aren't there, and
Yeah,
there in particular, if you spend any time up there, if talking to anybody about it, they'll tell you that the the positive for them is that they have a lot of corporate people that they sell the tickets, right? They're getting their money. Every seat sold. The negative
the negative.
is that a lot of times that means those seats go unfilled. And,
Mm-hmm.
and people feel like they can't get tickets, so they stop trying. And ticket prices are like on the secondary market there are really expensive. And so a lot of people aren't going to drop $130 to go to a midweek basketball game on a cold night in January. They're just not. So that's an issue for them. Has been for a couple of years.
I mean, it's one of the things that from an Ole Miss standpoint, they just gonna have to just find a way to win the game by a point or whatever on Saturday because they're going to be creating their own energy in the arena. If they play that game as scheduled, students aren't back again. The crowd's going to be light because of the weather and the cold and the whole deal. I mean, it just is what it is. I don't want to. We're not bitching about it. It's just where it is, and you're going to have to kind of like last night, just win the game. The home team's got to create it and just play better and get through it and let it be what it is because look, the pavilion counts as one of those arenas that when it's quiet, it gets very cavernous because it's not even seat number. It's just the way the acoustics and there's a lot of space up in certain arenas like Bud
Yep.
Walton and the pavilion,
Yep.
and it's an interesting thing there. So just get to the game. LSU. Ken Palm giving Ole Miss an 81% chance of winning on Saturday night at 5 o'clock. They are projecting a 77-68 win there over LSU. LSU 0-2 inside the SEC today. They lost their home game to Vanderbilt, which, looking back, that was a bad sign right off the jump. And then Missouri wrecked them on Tuesday night in Columbia, 83-67 there with that one, Missouri over LSU. So LSU currently, again, 0-2 in the SEC. 11-4 overall heading into Saturday. As mentioned, Ken Palm has given Ole Miss another win on the projection right now. Again, we're only 2 of 18 in, but they are projecting Ole Miss 21-10, 10-8 in the SEC as of right now. And as I wrote on the board this morning,
God,
it's
that
not really
makes it.
about the projected record or anything like that. It's that analytically, and I mean, all it is a computer program. There are 6 more games this season where Ole Miss has at least a 59% chance of winning. And I think that is a critical stat when you're trying to get to 8 or 9 or whatever you're doing. Because look, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say this to anybody moving forward. Don't move the goalpost. Your goal is to get into the field of 68, period. That's it. Anything else is gravy. It's all the icing at this point.
Yeah, I mean, look, 10-8 in the league. You'd be talking like a 6 seed, 7 seed, somewhere in there in the tournament. You'd be very comfortably in the tournament when you went to Nashville in March.
Yeah, they have at least a 59% chance analytically of beating LSU at home, Texas at home,
Yep.
Kentucky at home,
Yep.
Carolina away,
Yeah.
LSU away,
Yep.
and Oklahoma at home.
Yeah.
That is the path to 8 from an analytic standpoint of games they are clearly favored to win in the rest of the way.
And then what are
Something like that.
their toss up games where it's like 45-55?
Well, I mean, look, because if you beat LSU, you're 3-0 in the league, and then you have 2 complete free shots. Like I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to disregard any complaint on the board after games in Tuscaloosa and Starkville. It is 2 complete free shots in every damn capacity. If you get beat by 60, it does not matter.
Agreed.
And then they come home and they play a really big game at home, the first game back with the students against Texas A&M. And they have a 53% chance of winning that game.
I was going to say that game, that when you say that out loud, I say to myself, flip a coin.
Yeah. Then they have a road game in Columbia, Missouri, and Ken Pom is giving them a 48% chance of winning that game.
Yeah. Kind of coin
That feels
flipping.
a touch high for me. I would think more like 40, but it's a computer program, whatever.
Yeah. No,
I think Missouri's better than they're getting credit for.
I do too. I think Missouri is right now a little underrated by the computers.
They have a home game on February 15th against Mississippi State where they have a 54% chance of winning.
And they typically win at home against State.
Death, taxes, and those 2 teams split. That's where it sits. That's what was happening. That's typically what's there, but that's 54% on February 15th. They are giving them a 53% chance of winning at Vanderbilt on February 22nd, a week later.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's about right. And then 41%, but it's a home game, the season home finale against Tennessee on March 5th. That's the other, not necessarily in toss-up category, but it's in that realm because it's a home game. And then your complete free shots are really obvious. I mean, as I said, you've got Alabama on the road, whatever. You got State on the road, whatever. You got Auburn at home. I mean, they're only. I got them to 9, 10, 8, whatever I was doing right there, without even a home game. That they're only getting a 24% chance of winning, which is against Auburn.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, if it fell right, I mean, you could get to 11, which would be. For any team.
And we're out above our skis. I mean, I understand that.
Yeah, for any team. I mean, the only teams in the league that if you offered them 11-7 today would say, nah, we'll take our chances are Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, and maybe Florida.
Yeah. Everybody Kentucky would jump in a freaking heartbeat. A&M would jump. Done.
Mark Pope would sign up for that right now in blood. So would Buzz. Yeah. So would Texas. I think Mississippi State would sign up for 11-7. They would be like, okay, cool. We're a 6 seed, 5 seed. Let's go play. Let's go to the tournament. Let's go. Bruce Pearl wouldn't take it. Nate Oates wouldn't take it.
And Rick Barnes wouldn't take it.
And Rick Barnes probably wouldn't take it either. Although I got to tell you, I think Rick Barnes might think about it. He wouldn't admit it out loud, but he might think about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that in a minute with some of those.
And I kind of agree with Tupelo here. The only other coach maybe even more than Rick Barnes, who might go, nah, I'm gonna roll the dice. It might be Chris Jans. They're good. They're good.
Just to finish the thought for anybody, Ole Miss has a 9% chance of winning on the road at Auburn. I mean, whatever. Yeah, just get back healthy. And they closed the season at Florida. 20% chance of winning in Gainesville that day.
Yeah, I think.
Again, long way to go. 16 games, I get it, but that's where they're sitting.
Florida's really good.
But the key for Ole Miss, by the way, they did out-rebound Arkansas by 1 last night.
Yeah, that's 2 games in a row where they out-rebounded. I think they out-rebounded Georgia by 2, if I recall correctly. I don't know, 1, 2. It was basically the same. If Ole Miss can follow this pattern where you don't turn the ball over, And they've been pretty consistent about that all year. And they basically split rebounds. Like maybe you win by one, maybe you lose by one, whatever, but you're good. And I think last night Arkansas won points in the paint by 2. And Georgia may have won points in the paint or lost points. The points in the paint was basically even.
28-26 last night.
If they can follow that pattern, they're going to win games. They're going to win games if they can do that. Because the way to beat Ole Miss is to crush them on the boards and kill them points in the paint. Because Ole Miss isn't very big. They don't have a lot of depth. If they get in foul trouble down low, it gets pretty dicey pretty fast for them if you have skilled bigs who can go score. And Ole Miss through 2 SEC games has been able to eliminate that path for teams, and they're 2-0 because of it. They don't turn it over, and they've held their own on the boards, and they've survived in the paint, and that's their path.
I mean, it's one of those deals where that's why I think Ole Miss really just kind of matches up pretty well with Kentucky. I think if you said they beat one of those top 3-4 teams, they match up fairly well with Alabama, considering the way the things are set up. And then I think they don't match up well at all with A&M. That's going to be a really difficult game in Oxford that day. They're just so damn physical and in the paint, and it just gets – they create a different kind of ugly game, A&M, that is not necessarily Ole Miss's game.
Yeah.
So
A&M went to Oklahoma and won last night without Taylor, which is a really good sign for them.
Yeah, Wade Taylor the fourth out last night, and Oklahoma was up 9 at the break. It was 39-30 at the break. A&M outscores them 50-39 in the second half, wins 80-78 there in that one. A&M's 2-0, Oklahoma 0-2 now inside the SEC after starting 13-0 and winning all of their non-con games. Now a really tough opening stretch. It's A&M at home and at Alabama for their two games there. Alabama crushed South Carolina. It's possible South Carolina just sucks. Carolina's now 10-5 and 0-2 in the SEC, and that was a 20-point home loss to the Crimson Tide last night. So
they've got the young, what's his name, Colin Murray Barnes or something like that some of the NBA people talk about, but he's so young and he's so raw, and he's like I was looking at a mock draft yesterday and I noticed he wasn't in it. He's fallen out of it already. So, by the way, remember the kid you were at the Illinois scrimmage, right?
I was.
Remember the European kid that played the point for Illinois that day that looked pretty raw? Yeah. He was projected as the third pick in the draft. That kid is
really
that and his. I don't know if you've watched any Illinois games. You talk about a kid that every time you watch him, you're like, oh shit, he's made a move. He is skilled. Casper Lunas or something like that. I mean, that day in Oxford, you could tell he was really skilled.
It's kind of what I thought about Illinois' team. Is Ole Miss shot the lights out, dominated the game, and Illinois looked raw as all hell. Yeah. But you went, okay, give it a minute.
Yeah, and that was the coach there after that game. I remember him saying it, and I remember thinking, this isn't coach speak. He's being serious. He was like, we got exactly what I thought we'd get, and basically we got what I hoped we'd get. Mm-hmm. I get their attention now, because he knew he had a talented team, but he had a young team, and they thought, hey, this is going to be easy. We're just going to go kick people's asses and take names. And he played an older veteran team like Ole Miss, and they kind of got punched that day. Yeah. And he was like, this was what I wanted. And the more you watch them a little bit, you're like, oh, I get it, because they're pretty good.
And still, the damnedest thing, they brought 1,500 fans to a freaking scrimmage from Champaign.
Well, that kid's going to be a lottery pick. I mean, like a high lottery pick. He's legit.
As we said before the first break, that's 5 of 8 road wins, 5-3 road to home victories in the midweek there between SEC teams. What you saw in the midweek was simply the better teams won the games for the most part, no matter where it was, because Florida was just better than Tennessee on Tuesday night. It wasn't about home. It wasn't about road. It wasn't anything along those lines. They just won. And then Georgia was able to completely dictate tempo and style of play against Kentucky. I mean, I do think that was a road home game in the traditional sense. I think Kentucky will beat them in Rupp, and it was whatever. But I mean, it showed you Georgia had the ability to dictate a little bit there against the Wildcats. So I mean, I thought the midweek was important. Yeah, to reset some things, and for teams that played better or the better team simply to win. A little bit of a dud schedule coming up on Saturday until the nightcap. I think we get two really good games in a row at night. What time are the NFL games on Saturday? Bill's
Three
picks is either up or will be up, but
at 3:30 and 7.
okay, so they'll be head to head against the two good ones. Your Saturday slate again: LSU, Ole Miss, 5 o'clock. SEC Network as of right now, they're in that one. Auburn is at South Carolina, so Carolina's staring 0-3, 10-6 in the face. Vanderbilt is at Missouri, so Missouri can get to 2-1 there. Vanderbilt 1-1 now currently. That's in Como. Florida's at Arkansas, so Arkansas staring 0-3 in the face if they don't win a home game against the Gators, who are now 1-1 after that wallop of Tennessee on Tuesday night. Florida at Arkansas. Texas is 0-2 in the SEC, and they are hosting Tennessee on Saturday. That's 5 o'clock on ESPN. I think the Longhorns are okay. I don't think they're a bad basketball team at all. I think they've played a really tough schedule these first two games, but now they get the balls in on Saturday again, 5 o'clock in that one. Oklahoma 0-2. They're in Athens. That's not a gimme. So Oklahoma easily could fall 0-3 in the SEC early as well.
Yep.
And then the two best games of the day, the two night games, both one at 7, one at 7:30. You got Alabama in College Station on Saturday night for 7 o'clock, and then at 7:30 at Humphrey Coliseum in Starkville, the Kentucky Wildcats are in town. So Kentucky and State and Alabama A&M on Saturday.
Kentucky has a decent chance to get their ass kicked.
They do. Yeah.
Like I don't think Kentucky's the most athletic team in the world, and State's pretty athletic. Like, and State's got some real that Jan's toughness on defense. Like the Ole Miss Mississippi State games might turn into just the biggest damn rock fights you've ever watched, because both of those teams kind of have their coaches' defensive personalities starting to be written all over them. And if that happens, that could turn into just a everybody slinging boulders at one another.
Look, if you want to make Kentucky's schedule really problematic, I mean, you got to kind of squint and go, okay, I don't think they're very good, and they're going to drop some weird games here. They do lack athleticism. I see that in the stream. It's 100% right. I mean, their schedule sets up with some landmines where this Kentucky team and the early love for Mark Pope could kind of fall a little bit. At State, A&M at home is not a gimme. Alabama at home is not a gimme. At Vanderbilt, at Tennessee, Arkansas, at Ole Miss, they get Carolina at home, okay. And then Tennessee, at Texas, at Alabama, at Oklahoma, Auburn. I mean, there's nothing where you're just writing a big blue whatever, blah, blah, blah there. I mean.
No. I mean, there's nothing about their team that screams, here come the Cats. I mean,
no.
I mean, I think he'll win there. He's a hard worker. He'll recruit well. They'll get it going, all that stuff. But there's nothing about this team that screams 14-4 in the league or anything like that. Nothing.
Well, Grind says Matt Jones has already called Kentucky's going to beat Auburn. So okay, I guess we'll see here. What
I mean, they might. They might. I mean, they'll circle it and it'll be rowdy and all that stuff. And it's college basketball. Home teams pull off upsets all the time, but it would be an upset.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
they can't score a lot. I mean, they did beat Florida at home the other day. They're not bad. I'm just saying, if you want to set up a situation where it's weird and kind of ugly, I can get there for you.
Auburn's not going 18-0. Someone's going to get them.
Yeah.
But Auburn, look, if you told me Kentucky beat Auburn, I'd say, well, Auburn beat Auburn a little bit too. If Auburn plays well, they're winning. Period.
Yes. They have to help you. They have to do something to give you a chance. And then if so, and you're on the floor, sure.
Yeah, and they will.
But
they'll drop a couple of games this year where they turn the ball over or they're not they're not dialed in or they're not motivated or something's going on or whatever. I mean, they'll lose a game or they'll lose some games. It's the SEC. They're not going undefeated.
Well, you said yesterday you predicted 13-5 can win the league.
Yeah, and if you told me 13 was the over under on Auburn, I'd go over.
Yeah.
But if you told me 15.5 was the over under, I might go, okay, I'll go under. I could go 15-3. I can see that.
Yeah. All right. Back in a minute. We'll keep going. First, tell you about the Declaration of Independence Center for the Study of American Freedom. It's located on the Ole Miss campus and aims to explore and examine the fundamental and founding principles of the United States of America. They offer an academic minor in freedom studies and scholarship opportunities for Ole Miss students that bring along lots of networking potential. To learn more, contact Stephen Scoltetti at freedom@olemiss.edu or visit independence.edu.
Call Argent Welt's 401k advisory services team today. They'll conduct complimentary, no-obligation benchmarking and analysis of your current 401k plan. Mention that you heard about Argent Wealth on the Blue Sky Live. You get 10% off your first year's fees. We're also brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Get in touch with John if you're trying to plan a trip that creates a lifetime of unique memories. All you have to do is give him some parameters, give him a budget. He's going to help you with options that you're just not going to find on your own. 901-494-3387 or Jay Edwards at regencytravel.net. Get the beautiful, healthy smile you deserve at Corinth Dental. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures that will result in a beautiful, long-lasting smile. From routine checkups to advanced treatment, including implants and Invisalign, Corinth Dental is here to help you achieve your smile goals. Schedule your appointment today. Take the first step toward a better version of yourself. It's corinthdental.com. Are you a displaced corporate executive wanting to put your career in your own hands? Are you an experienced entrepreneur looking to diversify? Andy Ludicky can help. He owns multiple franchises and businesses and uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. So call Andy, put your life and your career in your own hands. It's 100% free. You've got nothing to lose. Find your perfect franchise at myperfectfranchise.net or 404-973-9901. Located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana, Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft beer. And they absolutely do that. They've got Dr. Juice. They've got Envy, which is an American pale ale. They've got Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA. All of that brewed from their hops from Yakima Valley, Washington. It's a Louisiana-based brewery. They make great beer. You can find it at your local grocery store, your local bar. And when you do, grab some Parish. You will not regret it. Again, Parish Brewing Company.
Podcasts are brought to you by Northeast Spark, the most reliable fiber internet option available. Whether you're streaming the Rebels or connecting with family and friends, they offer both residential and business packages with speeds up to 2 gigabits. To learn more, register for service. That's AnySpark.com. AnySpark. Get connected. Stay local. I guess that probably covers it from a basketball standpoint. That's what's coming up on Saturday. That's what was going on over the course of the midweek. Again, Ole Miss now just the 2 losses, and they are 2-0 inside the SEC. I don't know what you guys got going. Just a reminder, today is the Jimmy Carter National Day of Mourning, so it's possible that banks and mail doesn't run and stuff like that. So just kind of giving a PSA to anybody today, which could pose a bit of a problem because with snow tomorrow, you could have a bit of a kind of a no federal stuff for a few days here from some standpoints.
I know banks are open.
Yeah, I think most banks are open, but I saw this morning no mail and no post offices today, I believe.
Oh, really?
In most places. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. That was somewhere this morning. So, Ole Miss has already announced they're closed tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing
my guess is OSD quickly follows suit at some point in the next few hours.
That would be likely. Carson's got a formal on Saturday. He rented a suit.
Oh.
I got to go if like it's Saturday night. I probably got to go pick it up. And at that point, you've paid for it. Like that's 50-50, right?
Oh, it's very 50-50 right now. It's not even 50, actually.
Yeah, it sucks.
Because the barrier to cancel that thing is really low. I mean,
Yeah, but if you don't
an
go
inch and
get,
a half of snow and it's canceled, right?
I would think. But again, it's supposed to get up to close to 40 degrees tomorrow or Saturday.
Is the soccer going to play today?
Yeah, they've moved it up. The girls play at 3, and then the boys play right after. They said if the girls start, the boys will play,
Okay.
and they need to
Because
play
the
because they got colded out of a game on Tuesday that they'll have to make up. And so if they get colded out of a game today, now you got to make 2 games up, and you don't need to be playing 4 district games in 1 week. That's not a good recipe.
no.
I mean, that's endangering. That's the kids are going to be really fatigued. You're not giving kids enough recovery time, and then somebody gets hurt because they're tired.
Because of the fires in California, if needed, Rams and Vikings on Monday night is going to move to Glendale and play at the Cardinals stadium. They've announced that
Oh,
now as the place that will go should that be necessary at some point. So just be aware of that if you care. I would, from a playoff, a game having to be moved, the Rams losing their home field would be the least difference maker of a venue because I mean it's probably one of the weaker home fields in the country. So or in the league, whatever. Where are you at? I mean, we talked about this the other day. Where are you on watchability for these NFL playoffs?
I mean, they're playoff games, so they're all watchable. Some are more interesting than others to me. So I don't really like the games that involve teams that have no chance to get to the Super Bowl. I don't know that I'm enough of an NFL junkie to like be dialed into those, but I'll turn them on. Like
See,
Vikings Rams, I actually think one of those teams could get hot and do something. I mean, the most entertaining game is Commanders Bucks, and I give neither one of those teams a shot in hell of making the Super Bowl. So I'm not. I mean, look. I'll watch it. I'll turn it on. But if something comes up and I miss a quarter, I'm not going to be upset, right?
yeah.
Steelers, Ravens has a chance to be sort of a rock fight, so it's kind of interesting. I'm kind of interested in Denver Buffalo just because I think it's Sean Payton and he's fun, and I think Buffalo's really good. It's all pretty watchable. It's the NFL playoffs. This is always a pretty good weekend of NFL playoffs, and the next weekend's like phenomenal.
It's the best one every time.
Yeah,
Divisional weekend's the week.
it's the best weekend of the NFL every single year. And so I think that'll be the case next week too, because the Lions will be on the slate, and the Chiefs will be on the slate, and you'll get some really good games. But this weekend's fun. I'm not bitching about NFL playoff weekend. It's good. But I don't know that any of these games are like, God, if you told me I missed that game, I'd be in the dumps about it. I'd be fine.
I'm surprising myself because I didn't watch a ton of regular season NFL, probably the least I've ever watched, and yet every game is somehow compelling to me. Where I think, and maybe it's the weather to some extent, I don't know, but I'm pretty into every game where I can find some reason why I want to watch. And I don't even know if there's one that's below a 5 for me, maybe even a 6, except maybe Texans Chargers. That's the one that I just have no real interest in at all. I guess I want Laramie to win, but I mean, beyond that, I don't care.
I find the Chargers interesting, so I'll turn it on. I mean, a lot of that will depend on like my ability to get to the pavilion safely on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, so if I
Yeah.
have to leave an hour and a half early to get to the pavilion safely, I'll obviously not see it. If it's one of those deals where, hey, I'm going to have to cover this thing from television, then I'll probably turn it on and it'll have a chance to win me over. But again, along those lines, I don't think the Chargers or the Texans are going to the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
as that game unfolds, you're not like really glued to it because it doesn't matter because whoever wins is probably getting beat next week.
I mean, if the Steelers are good enough to make Saturday night or whenever that game is, I think it's Saturday night, but make that a game against the Ravens, like I'm completely locked into that. With the Ravens scar tissue,
Yeah.
Lamar having the extra big year, and then it could be Tomlin
Yeah.
and the hated Steelers to end you. Like that could
Yeah.
be a hell of a second half if Pittsburgh can make it a game.
100%. If that game's good, that's 8:45. 8:45 on Saturday night as that thing goes to the third quarter. And I'm interested in that game too because I want to see what the NFL playoff rating on Amazon is on a Saturday night.
Oh, that is the Prime Video game. Yeah.
Yep. I'm very curious to see what that looks like because you have to be when you stream the game on Netflix or Amazon or whatever, you've got to kind of be all in. Because
you're completely intentional at that point.
You can't really flip. So you can't really, unless I get it, but the number of people that have two TVs in the room, it's a minority. You know, you can't. Who'd you say was the Saturday night game? It was Alabama and A&M or A&M or Kentucky
and State and Bama A&M.
Yeah, so you know you got to kind of pick. Am I watching basketball or am I watching the NFL? And the majority of people, obviously, the overwhelming majority are going to be all in on Amazon Prime. It's going to get a massive number, and a lot of TV people are going to act shocked that they got a big number. It's not shocking. It's the NFL playoffs. They beat everything.
Yeah, reminder, guys, it was an election year and an Olympic year, and they got 73 of the top 100 programs in the country for the year. I mean, just remember that happened. So.
Yeah, I mean, every one of these games is going to get a monster number because it's the NFL playoffs. It's just going to get
the people that care about the basketball will pull up their iPad or their second TV or whatever their second screen is, and they will put the basketball on that screen.
What I'm interested in, from a comparison standpoint, I will be interested to see what the Saturday night Steelers Ravens on Amazon number is compared to the two playoff games tonight and tomorrow night in college football, where you have big brands on ESPN.
Good start times, 6:30 on Central. Not starting late. Good start times.
And I mean, I suspect these games will get big numbers. Like I saw the Ole Miss Duke game got a big number. It was a late game. It was 8. It was after 8 Eastern. It was, I mean, there was nothing on the line. Neither team, it wasn't a playoff game. And it was a blowout. And they still got 5.5 million, I think. It was a big number. It was the second most watched Ole Miss game of the year.
Behind Georgia, obviously.
Yeah. So these playoff games will get big numbers. If you made me bet, I would bet that the NFL game on Amazon will get an even bigger number. I could be wrong. We'll see.
As we are getting closer to tonight, I am getting more interested in Notre Dame and Penn State. 6:30 Central, as you said, ESPN. Not locked in, don't have some rooting interest that is overwhelmingly high in either direction. I put in picks that I think Penn State wins the game. I find myself, though, that I'm going to root for Notre Dame tonight. I typically don't do that, but Marcus Freeman has grown on me, and I've always really liked Riley Leonard for whatever reason. I did pick Riley Leonard to win the Heisman. Missed that one a little bit back in August. So I am going to pull for the Irish, though, over Penn State, I think.
I think this will end up being a pretty good game. I'm with you. I'll get back. So if Carson and them start on time, I'm trying to do the math in my mind. If they start at 4:45,
you're home at 8.
I'm home at 8-ish. So that game would be late second quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll turn it on. It'll have a chance to win me over. But yeah, I like Marcus Freeman. I hope Notre Dame wins. I think Penn State's a slightly more explosive team. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested in it. I'm I don't know why. I don't know why it doesn't have like just some monstrous magnetic appeal to it. It should, but I'm more interested in Ohio State, Texas, even though I think that game's has a decent chance of being a blowout.
Who are you going to find yourself pulling for tomorrow night?
The refs.
Okay.
Don't
I'm
like
kind of
either.
with you here. It's one of the reasons why I don't really care about tomorrow as much as tonight is, I mean, here is a bold statement. Of the four teams remaining, Notre Dame somehow is the most likable of the four.
It's not even close.
It's a hell of a comment, but it's true.
I mean, now I kind of like Ryan Day because people criticize Ryan Day, and what has he done wrong? Like all he does is basically he hasn't beaten Michigan enough, and that upsets Ohio State people. But then I hear national people kind of criticizing him. I'm like, what are you talking about? He seems like a decent person. I like Marcus Freeman a lot. Did you see the clip of Marcus Freeman? They're doing the press conference thing before the coaches press conference yesterday with Freeman and Franklin, and they're doing the media announcements about, hey, don't forget casino night tomorrow night for media. The bus leaves at whatever, and Freeman's looking around like, you bunch of losers. And I was like completely with him. Like, you go to these bowl events and they're like, hey, we have this media thing we have this party for the media. I've like literally never gone, except we went to the race.
We went to the go-kart races that night in Atlanta.
And in hindsight, shouldn't have, because all we did was give Jeffrey an opportunity to upset that girl, and then we got in trouble for crashing the cars.
You would not have gone. No. Let's be real honest. Like, look, don't like a lot of the local media either, but you wouldn't have gone to that. None of us would have had it been a ton of TCU media too. It was just us.
Yeah, it was.
The bus was literally nothing but Ole Miss media and the one Penn State GA. I mean TCU GA.
Yeah, and they told us that there would be a lot of free alcohol, and so we were like, "Sign up, yeah,
sure,
sure, why not?"
Yeah, right.
And they kind of gave us the impression that if you don't go to this might be the one time that we'll close the hospitality thing on you. We need. Remember, they almost begged us to go. Like, come on, we've got this thing, and there's no TCU.
Well, because that's I've always told that story when they brought out of the liquor and said, "Can you please drink this?" It was before they left because the argument was, "Please go and here make roadies. We'll pour this in the cup for you to get on the bus and take your alcohol with you." Yeah. They brought out the bottles going, "We'll fill all your styrofoam up if you'll just go and take the alcohol with you.
Please go. We've reserved all this stuff. They've made all this food. We need people to go."
Yes.
We're like, all right. Well, I remember kind of going, okay, sure. But
I pulled this up because, go ahead.
Freeman looked at it like, you guy, what a bunch of losers. It was, I laughed out loud.
Franklin went pretty hard on Notre Dame needs to join a conference during his media availability yesterday. Not wrong.
He's not, I was going to say, I mean, as much as I want to criticize Franklin, he's not wrong.
Look, I'm one of the people that thinks Notre Dame, if they get in, that should occupy the Group of Five spot. You get one spot for teams outside of conferences, and if Notre Dame gets it, then by God, they get it.
Yeah, totally. I'm totally cool.
Boise State, if you want in, then either make it of the top 12 or beat Notre Dame. Be higher than them. That's how you get in.
Yeah, schedule some games on the road and go win them.
Bill Barnwell, by the way, I was just kind of curious because I respect all of his NFL coverage. He did a bracket all the way through for the NFL, and he's predicting the Packers over the Rams in the NFC title game.
Really?
Yeah.
Boy, that'd be a hell of a story.
Yeah, he's got Packers 27, Rams 24 in the NFC title game, and he's got Chiefs 24, Ravens 20 in the AFC title game.
So he's got the Ravens.
He has a Green Bay, Kansas City Super Bowl with the Chiefs winning again.
So where does he have Detroit losing, and where does he have Buffalo losing?
He has the Packers beating the Lions 38-34.
Ooh, God, that'd be a tough loss for Detroit. God.
That'd be in the divisional round.
Next
He has the
week.
Rams beating the Bucks,
Yeah.
Chiefs beating the Chargers,
Okay.
Ravens 23, Bills 20. So
Boy,
you'd
those
have the
would
Bills and the Lions losing in the divisional round.
at home brutal losses that
And
would
I think
like
you can make, maybe I'm wrong and maybe I have nowhere near the right national pulse here. I think that would be a weird NFL day because I think the average fan nationally would want a Buffalo Detroit Super Bowl. I think Detroit and Buffalo are the two teams the nation is pulling for the most.
yes, I think most of the country has Chiefs fatigue.
Yes. And they don't like the Eagles nationally.
See, I have a soft spot for Jalen Hurts. So I like Jalen
I
and I
kind
like
of like
AJ.
Hurts and Sirianni. Like, I kind of do.
Yeah.
But
And I like AJ a lot. Of all the high profile people that we've covered, AJ was probably the most likable.
yeah, good dude.
Like we never really got to talk to DK a lot because he was hurt a lot, and then they never let us talk to Laramie because Hugh was paranoid.
Yeah.
But we got AJ a good bit to the point. We got AJ enough that I think he felt like he sort of knew us.
The two guys that knew us because of how much of a hell available they were was Evan and AJ.
And Hilton.
Yeah, of course. God, Mike.
Yeah, we got my God.
Put a
Mike
damn
was a
press
soldier.
secretary badge on Mike Hilton just every week. Hey, what's up, bud?
He'd come in the room and we would all kind of put our heads down, and he was in on the joke. Like he knew it wasn't personal, but it was like, hey, we talked to you yesterday. I can remember at one point someone who says anything different from yesterday. And he smiled,
Yeah.
You're just like, what are we doing?
Yeah. So, all right, we'll wrap it up with a few more things after the next break. First, the Citizens Bank. You're not just an account number, you're a valued member of the community. And after you find yourself in the market for a mortgage, another reason to give them a try. That's Whit Wilson. He is now in the who many of you know in the mortgage space, now at the Citizens Bank, ready to help you with your real estate goals. 902 Sisk Avenue, Suite E. They got a groundbreaking coming up soon. We'll tell you more about that here in the coming weeks. But while you're in there, check out the School Spirit debit cards. They noted an amount per every transaction. The local school of your choice, whether it's Oxford, Lafayette, or Regents. That's the Citizens Bank, PHILA.com.
We're brought to you by Easy Hemp Company. Easy is a hemp-infused sparkling water. It's guilt-free, alcohol alternative, a natural way to relax and unwind. It's all natural, made with real fruit, no added sugar, low calorie, gluten-free. One 12-ounce can of Easy has 3 ounces of THC. With Easy, it's easy to avoid the gummy scare and control your experience. So change the can, not the ritual. It's easy. Visit easyhempco.com to view the Easy Finder to find Easy near you. Easy is Farm Bill compliant with hemp derived from THC CBD extracts. Easy is for people 21 and older. Enjoy responsibly. We're also brought to you by Art Hayes, Sotheby's International Realty. Are you thinking of making a move? Put the power of Sotheby's to work for you. As a licensed agent with Sotheby's and a supporter of all things Ole Miss, Art can help you buy or sell in your hometown or anywhere in the world at no charge to you. Seriously. So call and ask him how. 612-805-5929 or email art at arthur.hayes@lakesmn.com. Chase mentioned picks are up at rebelgrove.com. They're brought to you by Kaiser Flooring with location in Oxford and Batesville. Kaiser Flooring provides outstanding quality flooring products and installation services to residential and commercial properties. Kaiser carries the best in hardwood, laminate, vinyl, and tile flooring, as well as carpeting. Their goal is to offer amazing and durable flooring products and superior services to make your life easier. Kaiser installs your flooring quickly, delivers the best flooring experience possible. KaiserFlooring.com. You can call them in Oxford at 662-830-3194 or in Batesville at 662-371-1912.
I guess I was brought to you by the Men's Clinic that's located in Madison and Brandon, themanthing.com. You make an appointment, you go see them. After that, they can treat you from anywhere. You don't have to be in the Jackson area. I do it here from Oxford because they've got a great mission there. It's to make sure you remain as healthy and as strong as possible throughout the aging process. They optimize testosterone, improve sleep, reduce inflammation, treat insulin resistance, and much, much more. I'm supposed to be getting a shipment from them today. It's one of the reasons I was wondering about the mail and the potential weather there tomorrow to stay on schedule and on pace against the men's clinic in Madison and Brandon. That's the man thing.com. Pretty fun story. Just college basketball in general. In the Athletic this morning, did you see this about Jim Crutchfield, the Division II coach at Nova Southeastern,
I
and
did not.
how tons of big NBA names, college names, they all go down to Fort Lauderdale. I actually know a guy who went to medical school at Nova Southeastern. Um, they go down there. The lead is Eric Spolstra, that he seeks him out multiple times a year because
Oh,
Jim Crutchfield is he's in a Division II school, but he presses the entire game. He has a completely different way of thought from basketball, the way anybody's going right now. It's going so analytical with threes. But this is a dude who coached tennis before basketball. He never played college basketball. He's turned it into basically a math problem. And his answer of this is to press and go hard and play like it's the last possession nonstop. He's won 86% of his games. He went undefeated and won the national title 2 years ago. Last year, he lost the title game on a buzzer beater. And he has been talking to the Celtics coach, the Celtics GM, Jim Larinaga, talk to him all the time. Larinaga, Michigan coach Dusty May has been meeting with him. And then Spolster, like I said, goes and talks to him constantly about the way that he does things at this Division II school. He averages, I had it here, 85.8 possessions per game, and that's 10 more than the fastest playing Division One team. So just goes nonstop all the time.
so it's kind of his version of 40 minutes of hell, except it's on. You're turning it up on defense the whole time.
They don't think that it would. I mean, most people go, yeah, I don't really think it would work at the highest levels, but everyone is trying to take pieces of it and just see what it looks like. And now he's like 68, so he's not going to reinvent the wheel and probably go to a Division One school and see what works. But over the last 4 seasons, he's 112-4.
Wow.
It's a phenomenal story. It's hilarious. Like
Yeah.
it's really really well done. I mean, it's just a fun little whatever.
I'll have to read that. That's interesting. I'm trying to imagine that at like the NBA level. How much could you bring pressure the whole game? I think your fear at the NBA level would be that the guards have such good handles that they would break that press and it would create a lot of easy looks.
Yeah, you're probably able to do it against Division II point guards in a different way than you could do it at a higher level. Like West Liberty is where he got his first start, his coaching start. They had two 20-win seasons in their history, which began in 1924. And since Crutchfield introduced his system, they've averaged 27.3 wins per year. So, I mean, it is clearly working. And he's an interesting guy. What makes it different is that he just does not watch basketball. He has no idea. He only knows his system. He's learned that, and he knows nothing else. He follows no analytics as far as what the nation is doing. Spolstra said that when he goes and visits with him, that the entire time he's trying to talk Spolstra into going and playing pickleball with him, and he'll talk about that instead. Doesn't really want to talk about basketball. He maps out all the practices on graphing paper and then throws it away when the practice is over. They said he sits at home and watches The West Wing and Dateline. Just different dude.
Yeah. It's work though. I mean, your goal is to win at the level you are at.
Says, that, I mean, right here, like a snippet, that approach can lead to some gaps in basketball cultural literacy. A few years ago, Mazzola and Stevens invited Crutchfield to a coach's retreat, Celtics people, by the way. When
Yeah.
Crutchfield got back to Fort Lauderdale, lead assistant Jordan Fee asked him who had been there. Crutchfield went down the list of the attendees he knew and then mentioned there was one guy the group kept asking about defense. He described his appearance. I don't know, it sounded like some kind of defensive guru, Crutchfield said. Hey, coach, Fee responded, that's Tom Thibodeau.
Oh.
So just it's fun. Like I said, it's working. I mean, look. I'm for anything that's different because everything is so copycat that anybody who's doing something that's a little strange, sure.
I mean,
Let's see
Tupelo
what
in
it
our
looks
stream
like.
He says NBA presses a lot now. It's a casual press, but they do it. You do see some NBA teams, now that I kind of think about it, you do see some NBA teams randomly throw. I mean, the word press is not the right word, but they'll randomly trap a ball handler in the backcourt. And I think a lot of it is just to disrupt the timing of offense. Because a 24-second shot clock, if you spend 7-8 seconds getting it across, suddenly you get 16 seconds to get a shot off. And I know that the reputation is the NBA doesn't play defense. That's total horseshit. They absolutely the elite, like, don't tell Cleveland and Oklahoma City that no one plays defense. That was a lot of defense last night, even though those teams scored. You could disrupt timing, and at that level, that might be enough to be the margin.
He says that he learned it, or he started trying to figure it out. He employed a zone press with specific rules on how to send the ball and trap. Then he watched the 1987 NCAA tournament. Rick Pitino's Providence team made a run to the Final Four using a different kind of press, more helter-skelter. They forced the teams to play at a different pace, racked up steals, chasing ball handlers from behind. Crutchfield tried it for himself, playing pickup games at the high school, told his teammates to play a box zone, waited for the offense to pass the half court, and then pounced, chasing the ball like a game of tag. His experiment played out as he expected. Blocked some shots from behind, got some steals, led to layups because he could leak out as soon as he tapped the ball to one of his teammates. But most importantly, the opponents were constantly looking behind themselves on offense. Quote, people are uncomfortable with people chasing them.
Yeah.
So
that's fascinating.
It is. It's interesting, if nothing else. So again, that's at the Athletic this morning. Also, last thing, I just saw this while I was looking through the different newsletters in the Morning Brew. Chick-fil-A they're taking jobs now by using robots to juice all their lemons for their lemonade. Over 1 million pounds now being done by robots because it was 10,000 hours of manpower they were paying for real people to juice the lemons, and it was actually creating hand issues with the lemons and stuff. So they have solved that by going automated into some kind of warehouse for the lemons. Just giving you a little heads up there.
I can remember back in the day in grad school when I was bartending my way through, one of the memories that I have, and it is not a fond memory, was I would have to get there super early on Fridays to cut limes, juice lime, and cut enough limes for the whole weekend. Man, if you had so much as a paper cut on your hand, the lime juice would, oh man, tear you up.
Yeah, it says that Chick-fil-A was doing, they were trying to squeeze 2,000 lemons per day for its signature lemonade, a task that created 10,000 hours of work per day across the fast food chain's locations, and many left workers with injured fingers, per Bloomberg. Now the robots get the juice from 1.6 million pounds of the sour fruit in a California warehouse. It's bagged, shipped to the local restaurant. Humans then mix it with water and sugar and produce the drink you order alongside your chicken sandwich. 2 other places that are doing something similar. Chipotle has been testing out the avocado to half avocados without humans doing it. And then Sweet Green is actually trying to see if robots can assemble your bowl for you at the buffet.
Damn,
coming for all of us, bud. Just different paces, different jobs. It's.
I wonder how long it's going to take to have robots that just do podcasts.
Well, I mean, look, I'm sure they can do it. The question is, can they do it well or interact with it? But I mean, we can make that happen right now, I'm sure, in some way. So,
damn robots.
Chick-fil-A is just a start. So,
yep.
All of you be safe in the hellscape that is the winter storm that is coming our way apparently here in the next 36, 48 hours. Again, Ole Miss already announced its closures. I'm sure there will be some more coming as the day moves on. We'll keep you updated on all of the MPW Digital and RebelGrove.com happenings in the meantime. Again, some sort of hand raise, guys, over the next 2 days. Neil's got soccer today, but we're probably just trapped in the house here for 36 hours or so if it holds as far as the forecast. So we'll let you know, have something to you at that point. So take care, have a good day, and we will talk to you again soon.